Hey everyone, today we're diving into an explainer that really bridges the gap between massive global pop culture and, well, the very human experiences of the artists who actually soundtrack our lives. We're going to be walking through the incredible life, the soaring career, and honestly, the incredibly sad sudden passing of British-born vocalist Lauren Bennett. She was a massive talent whose voice you absolutely know, even if you didn't quite realize you knew her name.
So, I want you to take yourself back to the year 2011 for a second. Think about the defining, just absolutely ubiquitous pop hook of that entire year, right? You couldn't go to a wedding, a sports game, a club, or literally even turn on the radio without hearing the explosive energy of LMFAO's Party Rock Anthem. It was the soundtrack for a whole generation. And that soaring female vocal anchoring that massive, infectious hook, that was Lauren Bennett. Today, we're exploring the woman behind that historic anthem.
But we have to begin with a really stark, truly shocking contrast to that energetic legacy. The music world was just completely stunned recently by the news of Lauren's sudden death. She was only 36 years old, though, to be fair, some sources at the time did note her age as 37. Regardless of that slight discrepancy in the reporting, the undeniable fact here is that she passed away far, far too young. It's just a jarring reality that's really left fans and her fellow musicians grappling with the loss of such a vibrant person.
Okay, looking at the established facts regarding her passing, local coroner records indicate that Bennett died on May 29th in Kent, England, which is actually the very same region where she was born. Now, currently, her cause of death has not been made public. What we do know for sure is that a formal coroner's inquest is scheduled for October 30th to examine the exact circumstances. So those are the facts exactly as they stand right now. To really grasp the sheer scale of the success she achieved, you honestly only need to look at the number 6. When we talk about Party Rock Anthem, we aren't just talking about a popular song. We're talking about a cultural juggernaut. That track topped the Billboard Hot 100 chart for an astounding 6 consecutive weeks. I mean, that is a level of global dominance that very few artists will ever get to experience. And Lauren's voice was right at the center of the whole shebang.
So, you might be wondering, how does a young girl from the UK end up at the very top of the American Billboard charts? Well, in a 2015 interview with Shown magazine, Bennett rewound the narrative to her childhood in a small village in Kent. She said, "I grew up listening to soul music. I started singing when my dad brought home a karaoke machine. And get this, by the age of 12, that same dad was entering her into local talent contests, which completely sparked a lifelong ambition that would eventually take her all over the world."
And as you'll see, her rise was just incredibly rapid and courageous. It started in her early teens when she actually auditioned for the massive UK television show The X Factor, impressively making it all the way to the final 12 before being sent home. But hey, that wasn't the end. It was the catalyst. At just 17 years old, she was asked to audition for a new girl group called the Paradiso Girls. That prompted a massive move across the globe to Los Angeles. By 2009, they released the hit dance single Patron Tequila featuring Lil Jon and Eve. And then, of course, 2011 brought the absolute global smash, Party Rock Anthem. But it's super important to remember the actual human being behind all these wild milestones. In her own words to Shown magazine, she pointed out the irony, saying, "We had a song called Patron Tequila and I couldn't even legally drink in LA. A drastic change of lifestyle with a lot of growing up." Just imagine that for a second. You're 17, far from your small village in England, and you're just thrust into the intense spotlight of the LA music industry. It's a hugely jarring, accelerated path to adulthood, and she navigated with just incredible ambition.
Then, after the Paradiso Girls disbanded, Bennett embarked on the next major chapter of her career, the G.R.L. era. Now, this dynamic 5-piece, all-women group was formed by Robin Antin, the same person who originally created the Pussycat Dolls. G.R.L. quickly made this massive pop footprint across the globe. They recorded the track Vacation for the Smurfs 2 soundtrack, and they famously featured on Pitbull's massive 2014 hit Wild Wild Love. They were working with legendary producers and basically establishing themselves as the next big girl group of the decade.
And to put a number on just how big they were getting, G.R.L's international chart success peaked at number 2. Their incredibly catchy, massive track Ugly Heart rocketed all the way up to number 2 on the charts in Australia, while also grabbing a highly coveted top 20 placement in the UK. They were literally on top of the world with just massive momentum behind them.
But unfortunately, that monumental professional high was met with some unimaginable personal tragedy. We need to respectfully shift the narrative here to the heartbreak of 2014. Right as G.R.L. was hitting peak global success,
Bennett's 25-year-old bandmate, Simone Battle, tragically died by suicide. It was a profound, devastating loss. It deeply tested the group, totally halted their momentum, and forced them to navigate this intense, raw grief while the whole world was watching. What really stands out, though, is how Bennett and the rest of the group responded to this unimaginable pain. Her words at the time were just so profound. There's a lot of young people who are taking their own lives. Hopefully, for us, we would love to help at least one person. Instead of just walking away from it all, the band teamed up with mental health charities like Give an Hour, and they released this beautiful tribute single called Lighthouse. They really used their platform to advocate for vulnerable youth, turning their private tragedy into a beacon of support for other people.
Now bringing our timeline back to the present day, we're looking at how those closest to Lauren Bennett have recently had to say goodbye. According to reports, a private memorial service was recently held in London to honor her life. It was this intimate gathering attended by her family, her close friends, and, really beautifully, her former bandmates from both the Paradiso Girls and G.R.L. They all came together in her home country to pay their final respects. The imagery from this memorial, at least as described by the people who attended, paints a deeply moving picture. There was a large display featuring her photo, set up with a simple but incredibly powerful message, celebrating the life of Lauren Bennett, forever loved, forever with us. And during the ceremony, guests wrote deeply personal final messages to Lauren on balloons before collectively releasing them up into the London sky. Just a beautiful, visual tribute to a spirit that honestly soared so high. Her G.R.L. bandmates, M, Tosh, and P, also released a powerful joint statement. They wrote, "Our hearts are broken. Her beautiful spirit touched so many lives, and she will be deeply missed and forever loved. Rest peacefully, sweet Lauren." You can literally feel the heavy emotional weight of her loss in those words. The bond you forge in those girl groups, going through the absolute highest highs and lowest lows, is clearly something that lasts a lifetime. For fans who are looking for a final glimpse of her artistry, Bennett's last post on Instagram, which she shared back in February, serves as this poignant, beautiful final performance. In the video, she's doing a stripped-down, captivating cover of Nancy Sinatra's classic, "These Boots Are Made for Walking." And even in just a simple social media post, her raw, undeniable talent, the exact same talent that took her from a karaoke machine in Kent to the top of the Billboard charts, is entirely on display. Lauren Bennett's legacy isn't just locked away in platinum records or music videos. She is survived by her 6-year-old daughter, Harlow, whom she shared with actor Kenny Wormaltz. There is always a deeply human story behind every single song we sing along to on the radio. So as her legacy survives through her family and through the millions of people who have danced to her voice, how will you remember the resilient woman behind a generation's anthem? Thank you so much for taking the time to remember her with me today. Take care.